All right, welcome back to the channel, guys. Last video we put out was our precision reloading intro. So I thought it would be a good segue into taking a competition rig and adapting it to different use. As much as I would love to build a dedicated night gun with a dedicated thermal scope, you know, maybe a lightweight hunting setup or something like that, we can only thermal hunt or night vision hunt for coyotes 2 months out of the year here, so it's not really feasible for me. So my goal for this whole thing was to adapt my competition rifle to hunting coyotes. Since it's a 6mm, I know I can get a good fast varmint bullet, something that's gonna be nice and flat for basically a no range estimation shot. So actually, before buying my AI and having the ability to clip on to the front bridge, I was running a Manners TCS with no bridge on it. I actually was using my 18-inch Mark 12 for coyotes. I was using 77 grains at 2730, and once I got this, I wanted to take advantage of the accuracy of the dasher, the consistency of it, and then also the confidence I have in my match gun for use in hunting. So I started doing a little research on what bullets guys were using for varmints, what kind of speeds they wanted, and trying to find something that would work in this gun or in this barrel for that use. I didn't want to do like a 22-250 or 243 or any of the standard varmint things. I already have the dasher, all the components, dies set up, powder, everything I need minus a varmint bullet. So last year, kind of on a whim, I took my old worn out match barrel and spun it on for hunting and just some kind of experimental load development. So I got the old Dasher Bible out here, kind of went through previous barrels, what I did with them, what kind of velocity I was getting, how high I pushed stuff. And I grabbed a 70 grain BlitzKing from Full Circle Reloading. They had a box of 100 sitting on the shelf, loaded those up with starting with my match charge that I use with my 109 hybrids, and I went all the way up until I hit some pretty crazy speeds for what this is. So I worked up to 3670 feet per second with those 70 grains, which worked awesome for coyotes. That kind of speed with those bullets, I got quite a few last year and anchored all but one of them out to like 323 yards, I think was my furthest shot. The one thing I did test last year that I'm gonna be curious about with these new bullets is what kind of RPM they'll actually hold up to. This barrel's a 7.5 twist, which is typically not what your varmint calibers and varmint barrels are gonna be. They're gonna be like a 12 or 14 twist, just so that bullet doesn't have to undergo so many RPM. At that speed, I think I was like 360,000 RPM, which was quite a task for that bullet to hold up to, but the 70 grain BlitzKings did it fine. So I picked up 4 new bullets, kind of based on what was on the shelf and other people's recommendations. The biggest thing people recommended was the Nosler 70 grain varmint bullets. Hopefully we see the same velocities and the same kind of performance that we do out of the BlitzKings. Guys say they kill awesome, and I'm about 50-50 on what I've heard as far as how they group. As long as this groups 1/2 inch to 1 inch though, for my use and my range, that'll be fine. The next bullet is the Sierra 80 grain BlitzKing. With the luck that I had with the 70 grains and how they performed on animals, the BlitzKing was kind of another choice that I wanted to do, but I could only find the 80 grain. So it might be a little bit slower, but I think it will be a really good option still. These are the lead tips. They didn't have any of the ballistic tip ones in stock, so I just snagged the lead tips. The BC's so low on all the varmint bullets that I don't really think that's gonna be an issue at all. Next one we have is the Berger 80 grain flat base varmint. These are a flat base bullet, 80 grains, so we'll be, you know, in the same speed areas of BlitzKings. I still think 3550, 3600 is gonna be pretty possible. It is a tangent ogive, so it's a similar shape to the other two. So I think they're gonna shoot really well as far as groups go. Again, the BC's fairly low, 300 G1 BC, but 300-400 yards at that speed typically is all I'm gonna shoot. And I don't think that I'm gonna have a huge issue with wind with those. The next option I got right here is the 87 grain VLD Hunting from Berger. The VLD bullets are known to be a little bit finicky on seating depth or jump to the lands. So I'm hoping that these shoot good with the suboptimal free bore that I'm sure is going to be in here with the VLDs compared to being cut for a heavy 109 or something bullet. They're going to be jumping about 100 thou. My biggest concern first and foremost is number one, which bullet is going to hold together. Secondly, group size, and third, velocity. I really want to pick the fastest one so it's as flat as possible, but ultimately group size and speed, I can kind of deal with a little bit slower, even at 3,500 feet per second with some of these. If they go that speed, I think they're going to be a really good performer still, as long as the group sizes are good. All right, so let's take all these. I pre-made these for this particular barrel. One of my old barrels from 2 years ago or 2 seasons ago that now is just a hunting or practice barrel. So we're gonna take these bullets over to the scale and the press. We're gonna make some coyote killing test loads and see what the old dasher does. Also, before anybody says anything, the Hornady 80 grain ELD VTs, I've already tried these. I cannot get them to shoot. They shoot about a 4-inch group no matter what I do with them, up to about 35, 50 or so feet per second, and they still don't shoot for shit out of this gun. Suppressed, not suppressed, with a muzzle brake on it, doesn't really matter. They group terribly. I just can't get them to shoot out of this barrel for some reason. So they're pretty much a non-option. And the BC on the 87 grain VLDs is significantly better than those anyway. So if I can get these at 3,500-ish feet per second and they shoot good, I think the VLDs are gonna be kind of my choice, but we'll see how the Noslers perform. So let's take these 4, some prep cases. We're gonna go over here to the press, the scale, load some up. Because I already did this last year, I already have a good starting point, a good reference, at least for the 70 grains. We can kind of knock it back for the 80s and 87 and see where we get with velocity. Turn the Garmin on, new session, rifle, yep, there we go. Okay. All right, first up, we're gonna do the 70 grain Noslers loaded at 35 grains. Hopefully I don't get too many heavy breathing comments. I'm gonna be running back and forth here. .3307. 3339. Okay, average of 3316 with a 35.5 extreme spread. Group's not awesome there, but we'll see how it looks as we go up. So we're gonna go 35.5 on the 70 grain Noslers. Okay, 33.27 on that last one. We are 33.53 with an extreme spread of 44.3. So not super great there either. Let's go up to 36 and then we will let the barrel cool for a minute. Okay, well I forgot to reset the chrono, so our extreme spread's all fucked up. But we're about 3440 feet per second at 36 grains. Okay, 70 grain Noslers at 36.5. We got a new string of fire on the Garmin. Let's see what they're gonna do here. Super high there. Better.
I don't think these are gonna work for shit. All right, there's 5. Average of 34.86. Extreme spread of 19.3. But that group is probably 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches. Not usable for what I want. All right, so let's move on to 37 grains of the 70 grain Noslers. Okay, besides that one flyer, not too bad. Brass still looks great. Primer's still round. Average of 35.20. Certainly a lot slower than the 70 grains BlitzKings were last year. I got 3 left here at 37.5. Just see what velocity's like. And, well, 3 to group. Start a new string. A little bit better group, no flyers, but that was only 3 shots. So let it cool down and then we will switch to the 80 grain BlitzKings. Camera's rolling. All right, threw the Thunder Beast Magnus on. All of our super fast ones that I'm worried about blowing up are done. So now we're gonna check 35 grains on the 80 grain BlitzKings. I don't really know why the 70 grain Noslers didn't seem to go as fast as the 70 grain BlitzKings did last year. Even at that max charge, 37.5 grains was only 35.70 average, but could not fit any more in the case if I wanted to. So hopefully our point impact isn't too different from that dead air. That's the problem with these short ones. They don't feed awesome all the time. Oh, I didn't pick up. Why not? These short round noses aren't helping. 32.17. God dang. That's pretty much going to disqualify these. Do I need faster? Oh yeah. Okay. Average of 32.31 at 41.3 for an extreme spread. Group still doesn't look that good. I'm gonna have to shoot some ammo in this. Some leftover match 109 ammo just to make sure the barrel still shoots good. The Bergers I shot earlier this morning, they seemed like they were happy just to check 0 with these bullets. Okay, so now we are, let's see, 35.5 on the 80 grain Sierra BlitzKings. Okay, good group there at, I don't know, 32.50-ish. Forgot to reset the chrono, so we'll give the barrel a minute. Starting to see some mirage off suppressor. We'll be back in a second. I blame your leadership. We got 80 grain BlitzKings at 36 grains. We are going to start a new session this time. Okay, that was a weird high. Whoo! I don't know how fast these are going, but okay. I might deal with that. Average of 33.19, extreme spread of 21.4. And besides that one weird flyer there, that was a good group. Yeah, let's move on to 36.5. Yeah, those 3 are good. Okay, a little weird stack there. Ooh, yeah, there was definitely a weird one in there. Screen spread at 82.7. Okay, what do we got here? 3303. Oh, that was definitely that first one. 3386, 3372, 3343, 3365. Session summary 42.8, which in that 40s has been pretty normal for extreme spread with these bullets. All these varmint bullets so far. What do we got? Let's finish off these BlitzKings at 37. Ooh, I'm not gonna use that one. All right, 37. Oh, those are looking good. This one's got a little mark on the case head. Let's gamble on her. Oh, I didn't shoot in velocity. Damn it. Oh, hopefully this one tells me what 37 grains with an 80 grain BlitzKing does. Son of a bitch. All right, here we go. This one's dusty. 3402. Okay, that's really the only information we got from that fin string. 37 grains. What a dumbass. All right, decent group out of those, but 3400 ain't gonna cut it. Oh, I hope my chrono's not dead. An idiot. You can tell I'm new at this video thing. Forget to do all these things. Okay, we're gonna start a new session here because I keep on forgetting that. Berger, 80 grain, flat base varmint. What are you guys? 37.5s. Those are spicy. We're gonna get to those at the end. This mic rubbing my chin is weird. Okay, we have quite the left to right wind now. Don't let me down, Berger. 3186. Five shots there. This one was weird. It hit super low and it was also very slow. We'll go into the history here and check our shot list. So 3186 and the rest were 3241, 3259, 3258, 3256. We're just gonna delete that first one. We're not trying to prove anything to anybody. I know that's a weird guy for some reason. Lord only knows what happened there. So 4 shots, average of 32.53, an extreme spread of 18.1. So 35.5. Next target over, we're gonna ignore that low one there. 32.75. 33.09. Okay, 32.94. We have an extreme spread of 34.3, average of 32.93.7. Group looks pretty good. I don't know, maybe a 10th up, 10th down, left, right, outside that one weird flyer, but we'll go downrange and see how it looks. Let the barrel cool down. This is 36 grains. 33.45, okay. Decent velocity. All right, average of 33.47, extreme spread of 22.6. All right, 36.5. Okay, that one's kind of dancing all around that red circle, but an inch maybe. Let the barrel pressure cool down for a little bit, and we'll move on to, I guess, 37 and see how it shoots. That was average of 33.80 with an extreme spread of 26.1. 37 grains with the 80 grain flat base varmint. It's just that first one maybe. I don't want these fucking things to shoot. 34.02 first shot. 34.35 second shot. 34.58 third shot. Okay, not the best group there either. Terrible extreme spread, 56.5 to 34.33. Let's go ahead. I actually have 3 of them loaded up at 37.5. Oh, sorry, 2 of them at 37.5. Just as an experiment for velocity, and if it groups good, maybe that'll be the ticket. Looks like 36.5 is okay. 35 was actually really good, but not the speed I wanted. I think it was only 3,200 or so. 34.56. Okay, stack this one, and then we'll call this one good. Ooh, I wish I had more of these. 34.65, we only had 2 shots, so extreme spread of 9.4. 34.60 average. Again, only 2 shots, so that is what it is. Since this is an old barrel, I want to make sure that it still shoots good. I have some leftover ammo from the last match, I think the finale. I want to shoot 5 of these. That's going to be the bottom right target, and just to show that the barrel's still okay. So bottom right, hopefully they group okay, or hopefully they are zeroed okay. I don't know. Okay, well, no idea what the extreme spread is. It's 692 feet per second off, but you can still see the barrel still groups. This barrel's not dead by any means, at least for what I need it to do for coyotes. So we'll let it cool off and go down here and reset. All right, this is the 87 grain Berger VLD hunting, 35 grains of varget. So okay, other than that one low one right off the rip, that is a pretty freaking good group. I was kind of worried about these because of the seating depth and how picky VLDs sometimes are, but that seems really freaking good. That was an average of 31.97, extreme spread of 23.3, 4 shots right on top of each other. So we're gonna go straight into 35.5 grains of varget. Okay, last one in that row. All right, another good group out of those. 32.41 average, extreme spread of 23. See how the brass all looks. Primers all look good. And this is 36 grains, right? You holding the wrong fucking target? Yeah, I must have. Okay. Another good group from the VLDs. Okay, that one was 32.89 average with an extreme spread of 67.4. Let's go through this here and see what the shot list looks like. Okay, first one was 32.48. Then we're 33.15, 32.93, 32.97, 32.89. So other than that one, I guess really slow one, 32.48, that one's pretty decent. So, okay, speeds. The BC numbers on the VLDs, kind of gonna have to play with that and see what that looks like. Bolt lift doesn't seem weird or anything. Brass all looks okay. Primers are all still round, not cratered. I don't know if I can get enough Varmint in these cases to cause any pressure issues. So we have 36.5 left. Also have 4 or 5 loaded at 37 grains that we're gonna try just to see where we get. If the BC numbers play out with the velocity and these work, these have by far grouped the best. So if the velocity and the BC numbers play out, maybe the distance and in the wind, these might be the choice. So 36.5 grains and 37 grains. Okay, we're gonna skip the target on the left because I'm stupid and I shot that. All right, really good group. 2 split groups, which is odd. 33.24 average on that with an extreme spread of 23.6. Depending how 37 works out, primers are still nice and round. Don't know if you guys can see them. Primers still look good. I'm gonna load up 37 and see how she does. I would love to have these things at 3,400. I think that'd be great. Not as good as the 70 grain BlitzKings last year at 36.70. But if these shoot good in there, well, it'll probably be 33.70-ish, judging by the rest of the shots. 87 grain VLDs at 37 grains. Okay, 33.55 average with an extreme spread of 33.2. Didn't get much of a jump in velocity, so I would say that is probably about maxed out as far as tuning goes. Brass still looks good though. Primers are still round, no issues there. I guess I wish I would have loaded up a little bit more powder in those. But yeah, that's it for that. All right, guys, we're back from the range. I wanted to run through the numbers, get everything written down, checked over, run all the numbers through a calculator, measure all the group sizes in the Ballistics app, which you guys have already seen through the shooting portion, and then also kind of do some ballistic calculations. So first thing, the groups and the velocities really weren't as good as I was expecting. The velocities, you could attribute that to, you know, just not having worked with any of these bullets before. A slow jug of powder or whatever. Either way, they were 3350-ish for the slowest and up to almost 3600 for the fastest. So any of those velocity-wise is going to work for me. After running the numbers, I'm a lot less concerned about trying to hit that 3,700 feet per second. The 87 VLDs really surprised me as far as how they grouped. And then once I saw the ballistic numbers, how well they actually perform, and we'll go over that as well. The other thing that you'll notice if you go back and either watch that video or just look at the group sizes is the groups would be fine, and then there would be like a random flyer to most of them. Really only one of them I kind of threw it out. The rest of them I just assumed it was either me or something with a bullet or whatever. No big deal. After talking to some F-class and bench rest shooters about it, those guys said that absolutely it is a thing. Like if you have a new bullet that you're switching to, like say you go from the Sierra to the Berger, just like you would when you clean your barrel, you have to shoot 5 or 10 Fowler shots for that jacket material or that bullet construction difference to settle the barrel or foul the barrel in. So again, I'm not super concerned about it. I think that if you look at 80% of the group for each groups, that it gives you a good picture of what the bullet and that load is capable of, and certainly shows where I can or can't fine tune a bullet. Like the Noslers, that barrel just would not shoot them good. Maybe in a slow twist they shoot fine, but that 7.5 twist at that velocity particularly, or that charge weight or that powder was just not a good match. The other thing before I just settled on one because it shot the fastest or just grouped the best on paper was I wanted to run the numbers and see which bullet with what BC, how it behaved downrange, not just at the muzzle. The 6.5 versus 308 video that we did previously really showed me what kind of lack of knowledge most people have on what a ballistic coefficient or the sectional density of a bullet has an effect to it downrange. So the amount of comments that we got, like we need to compare 130 grain bullets for both of them. Obviously the 308 would be much faster with a 130, but the BC of that bullet's so bad that the bullet performance downrange is just going to drop off. I don't think people realize how much the ballistic coefficient of a bullet affects the retained energy, the retained velocity, and the wind performance. You'll see these numbers here, the difference in that 70 grain Nosler versus that 87 VLD Berger. So the jbmballistics.com, they have a free ballistic calculator, and if you're contemplating doing anything with load selection, I definitely suggest you run it through anybody's calculator, but theirs is great because they have Brian Litt's drag models in there with a Trude BC. They also have a whole section for rifle info, target info even. So if you want to enter a vital zone size for a target, I'll tell you where it goes transonic. You can enter like a target speed, you can get your lead if you're gonna shoot, coyotes. On the run, you know what your lead actually is at whatever range you want. You can set your min and max range, and you can set your range intervals wherever you want. So if you want to know what your bullet's doing every 10 yards, it will also spit that out. The other biggest thing for hunting is wind. If you want to input a 10 mile an hour wind at 90 degrees, 60 degrees, 270 degrees, 300 degrees, whatever you want to do it at, it will give you a wind drift, and then it also gives you your drop in inches and in either mils or MOA, which is super handy. So JBM is going to, the first page you get to on JBM is going to look like this. And then you're going to input all your data from the top to the bottom, and you're going to enter all that, select your bullet. They have a whole drop down chart with all that stuff. And it is going to input, or it's going to spit something that looks like this out. So what I did was that for every bullet at the max velocity, because I wanted to compare, the best performance possible out of everything that we shot. I have my sheet. I made just a Google document sheet, like an Excel spreadsheet. So I have just the energy, just the velocity, just the wind drift, and just the drop in every individual one, so that, just for this, we can go over it and you guys can see what it is. So you guys are going to see that on your screen now. And I'm basically going to be just looking at my iPad. I have it pulled up here, and I'm just going to cover kind of what I'm seeing here. So the first thing that we were worried about is I wanted something that was going to be as flat as possible. So I want something that's going to rise and drop depending on my zero or how I do it, or just drop from my 100-yard zero as little as possible so I can shoot without having to worry about dope, which initially I thought the 70 grain Noslers were going to be the best for because they were going to go the fastest. And I figured the BC was going to be so low on all of them that it wasn't going to have a huge part to play. But looking at these numbers, you can see how wrong I was there. So the 70 grain Noslers, 100 yards were obviously zeroed. All of this is going to be input from zero. Other than the velocity and the energy, I have the muzzle energy and velocity. So you'll see those, but right now for the drop chart, we're just looking at that in inches. So the 70 grain Noslers at 100 yards, 200 you have 0.8, 250, 2.8, 300, 5.9, so almost 6 inches there. 350, 10.4, 400, 16.4, 450, 24.2, and 534. So I thought the Noslers were going to be the best because they're going to be the fastest. If we move to the Berger VLDs, with the velocities that we got out of the Berger VLDs, the 87s, and their super high relative BC, they are definitely going to be the bullet that I dive into. On top of them grouping consistently better out of all of them, and feeding for me is huge. This gun does not like to feed those super short ones because it has a very long tenon and a longer action that bullet has to go free from the magazine from to feed. So the VLDs by far fed the best. I think the BlitzKings fed the freaking worst. I felt like I was fixing jams all the time. So the VLDs, I think, are going to be my pick for going further. I'll probably do a little bit more load development. And then I also want to clean the barrel and shoot groups with just those bullets. So you guys can see all the numbers here. You can see the flat base Varmints and the 80 grain soft point BlitzKings or spire point BlitzKings, the lead tipped ones. You can see those. I'm not really going to run down those because those both of those are pretty much eliminated because they're not fast, nor do they have a high BC, nor did they really feed well. So they're pretty much out of the testing for me. So as far as drop goes, the Noslers versus the Bergers, the 87s versus the 70s is kind of what we're going to be covering through this whole chart. At 200 yards, we are at 0.8 inches of drop for the Nosler and 1 inch of drop for the VLD. 300 yards, we are 5.9 inches of drop for the Nosler and 6.2 for the VLD. So right there with each other, I mean, you're talking 0.3 of an inch. Out at 400, we're both at 16.4. So there's where that where that BC really hangs on to the velocity and the energy for that 87 VLD. Up close, where you know our velocity is pretty close, doesn't matter. We're already caught up at 400 yards, and at 500 yards, the VLD is now dropping almost 2 inches less than the 70 grain Nosler at 32.4 inches for the 87 and 34 inches for the Nosler. So drop in inches, for my use, the Nosler wins there, but the VLD is just barely behind it and groups better, feeds better. So for me, that's a clear winner there. The more we go through the charts, the more you're gonna see how the 87 pulls away from the Nosler as far as performance goes. If you go to the velocity chart, the 70 grain versus the 87 grain Berger, at the muzzle, there is a 200 plus feet per second spread. At 100, we're at 3209 for the Noslers, 3115 for the 87s. At 200, we are now flipped. So the Noslers at 200 yards are already going slower than the 87 VLDs by 20 feet per second. 300 yards gets even worse and is inverse. Again, that 300 to 400 yard range is really what I'm worried about. Inside of there, I think they're gonna be close enough, but 300 yards, we're gonna start really pulling away from each other. At 300 yards, we're at 2,537 feet per second for the Noslers and 2658 for the Bergers. Remember, they started 200 feet per second, flipped from that. At 400, we're 2231 for the Noslers, 2442. So at this point, they have completely flipped from the starting point. The Bergers are now 200 feet per second faster than the Noslers at just 400 yards. So the Bergers have made a 400 feet per second spread in just 400 yards because of the ballistic coefficient of that bullet alone. 500 yards, which again, we're not super concerned with, but now we are almost a 300 feet per second. So it's 1947 for the Noslers, 2237 for the Bergers. I'm not really super concerned about energy. Any of these are gonna have more than enough energy for a Coyote, but it is an interesting note if you're gonna compare bullets for heavier calibers, for heavier game. But the Bergers, just to demonstrate the ballistic coefficient, you can see the numbers here. So at the muzzle, the Bergers already have more. The Noslers are 1978 foot-pounds, and the Bergers are 2174. We're just gonna go straight to 200 yards, and the Noslers are now at 1275, so they've lost 700 foot-pounds of energy in 200 yards, and the Bergers are at 1605. So the Bergers have lost 550-ish foot-pounds of energy. Out at 400 yards, the Noslers are now down to 773 foot-pounds, and the Bergers are at 1152. 500 yards, it gets even worse. The Noslers only have 589 left, and the Bergers almost still have 1,000 at 966 foot-pounds. So from the muzzle to 500 yards, the Noslers have lost almost 1,400 foot-pounds of energy, 1,389 foot-pounds, where the Bergers have only lost 692 foot-pounds of energy. If that doesn't show you how much BC matters and how much, you know, the weight of the bullet matching matters, I don't know what else to show you. Now, wind drift, in the case that we do get into some wind, I threw a 10 mile an hour, 90-degree wind in there. We moved to 200 yards, and now the Noslers are 3.4 inches of drift, and the Bergers are 2.5 inches of drift. 300 yards, we start getting even more significant. 8.2 inches of drift versus 5.8 for the Bergers. 400 yards, 15.6 versus 10.8. And then at 500, a massive spread, 26 inches of drift for the Noslers and only 17.6 for the Bergers. So after running the numbers and seeing the ballistic performance of the 87 VLDs, seeing how the groups are, and seeing how much that 200-ish feet per second less starting velocity doesn't really hurt it downrange. On top of all the other benefits like feeding, the 87 VLDs are definitely going to be what I dive into as far as further load development or just hunting. Now, how they're going to perform on the Coyotes, I still don't know. I mean, again, they're not a super tough animal as far as knocking them down or anchoring them. Maybe if the VLDs are overbuilt for a coyote where they just kind of pencil through or something, then I'll worry about, you know, changing up bullets or going to something different. But for now, the 87s are definitely gonna be my choice. If you guys stayed till the end, I appreciate you watching. This has by far been the most time-intensive video. Despite hating doing low development, I really like doing some experimental stuff that's really not meant for what it is, and trying to make it work. If you guys would, go down, tell me what bullet you would use, what load you would use, and why. Again, or if you've noticed that weird flyer when switching from bullet to bullet, I would love to hear your experience on it. Again, I don't do much load development. I don't experiment with different bullets much, so I've never seen it before, and it didn't really pop up to my attention until doing this test. So that was something interesting, something cool to see, despite it ruining all my groups. But yeah, let me know which load you would pick based on either the ballistic data, the velocity, or the group size, or even what you use for a, you know, varmint rifle, whether it's prairie dogs, coyotes, maybe rock chucks, groundhogs. Thank you guys for watching. All the growth and support we've had from everybody in the past month or two has been crazy. I think we're up to 12 or 13,000 subscribers now. So again, we're just trying to give you guys some good information, maybe some good or bad ideas. I guess that's all. I don't know. Okay, let's finish this shit up.